Hello everyone. So I promised I'd keep you updated on my prostate cancer journey. So we sort of got an important anniversary today. It's 10 years to this date, and by now, 10 years to this date, I'd have been under a general anaesthetic, having a 5-hour operation to remove my prostate cancer, seminal vesicles, and having a lymphectomy in my groin, to obviously try and save my life from the prostate cancer that I had been diagnosed with 2 weeks prior to that, on the 29th of September 2015. So obviously 10 years today is, or should be, a significant anniversary, and it sort of is, because I'm alive, and had I not had the prostatectomy 10 years ago, I wouldn't be alive today. I'd be dead because it had spread and killed me. So obviously today's date is a celebration, really, but it's not, sadly. It doesn't feel like a day of celebration. And although I had an absolutely wonderful day yesterday morning filming with Jules Nimmo and Greg Hemphill for the BBC Scotland Wild Swimming programme, we swam with them and we talked and we ate cake and drank coffee and had a good old laugh. And I'm due to be going again this afternoon to swim with them again and do some more filming. Although today, the celebration of 10 years alive doesn't feel like a celebration. I think what today's done is actually teaching me that nobody cares, really, in the grander scheme of things, about whether I'm alive. I think my fiance cares, and my dog cares, and my best friend Lynne cares, and those are the people that I think if I died today, they would be bothered. And I've got a couple of relatives that would care, that would be the case, but mainly, no, people don't care. Oh, sorry, and I do add, my ex-husband would care, because we're still very close. But in the main, it's not. We don't live in a caring world. People do stuff just for the sake of blowing up their own ego. And I'll just give you an example. So in the 10 years since I had my prostate removed, when I promised myself that I would do everything offered to me, so long as it wasn't criminal, I became a published artist. Exhibiting in 2 exhibitions in Leeds in 2016, my paintings, and I thought that was fantastic, and I was interviewed for that. I was also an ambassador for Prostate Cancer UK. I did 3 of their self-help guides that I believe are still live on their website for men suffering with fatigue, impotency and incontinence after prostate cancer treatment. I did various did a radio interview, various newspaper interviews. I did a little bit of television as well for them, and I also did a lot of street talking at their stands where they did talking. And I went to London and I did a video for them, etc. But unfortunately, I didn't fit their criteria when it came to just openly talking and doing events and going to try to inspire men. I had to stick to a script, even though I was a man that was suffering with no prostate. So therefore I was dropped by them, and they wasn't interested because I didn't toe the line. I became a governor of an NHS trust, a mental health trust in Leeds, which I was so delighted to get. I was publicly voted in. But I had to give that up because I moved outside the area. I moved outside the area to move next door to my dad to try to build some bridges that he burnt, because he is just a controller. He doesn't care about anybody but himself. But I thought, no, I'll give it a go. I'll try and I'll move next door to him and we'll have this relationship. And I gave up my governors to do that. The training to be a solicitor that I started in the couple of years after my prostate was removed, I gave up because I couldn't achieve more than being a lorry driver or a warehouse worker living next door to my dad, because that was just too much. So the pressure was on to do other things and distract me from revising and doing my exams and courses, and eventually gave it up. Yes, some people will say, well, you should have just rose above that. You're a grown man. And yeah, that may be so, but unless you've walked a mile in my shoes, you're not going to know what that feels like. I then started work in the prestigious department of the business I was working with, and I worked as a medical legal case manager, working through the pandemic and supporting tens of thousands of doctors get their head round the new health rules. I wrote health rules, I wrote clinical, legal and administrative guidance. I did podcasts. I listened to doctors crying constantly after we're losing colleagues. I worked on projects for my business. I worked 70-hour weeks, 7 days a week. And then when I needed them, because I was struggling after me and my husband divorced and separated, in the lockdown. So that's one good thing that came out of having prostate. I married my ex-husband. Yeah, we are now divorced, but we are still very good friends. But nonetheless, we separated and I struggled. But that wasn't good enough for my employer at the time. And then when I disclosed I thought I might be autistic, I was just managed out the door. There is none of this policies that big companies have work. It's just there to make them look good. They don't care about people that need help. They're just a drain on resources. So I moved to Scotland in the hope that I could get rid of all that corporate nonsense and live a lovely, wildlife-friendly, relaxed, chilled life in rural Scotland with my dog, give him room to roam, so he's away from all the busyness and the noise that we endured when we lived next door to my dad. We've got that in abundance. It's great. And I met my fiance, and that's great. And we are engaged to be married, and that's great. But I had to give up my corporate, well-paid role for the sake of my mental health. And also because I wasn't going to allow them to just ruin what I'd achieved by moving to Scotland. I tried corporate world again, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work for people like me. I'm neurodivergent, I ask too many questions and I've got too much of a curious mind. Corporate world wants you to shut up, put up and get on with it. That's how it works. And anybody that wants to challenge me, come ahead and challenge me, because I will argue and debate with you all day long. I got a fantastic job making ethical cheese for an ethical dairy and an ethical farm run by a lovely couple, and they were great, but unfortunately being 6'4", making cheese manually, not going to work. Bad back, had to give up the job, and it was devastating. So I now work as a PA, looking after vulnerable people on £12.60 an hour, and that's it. Because I look after people who are vulnerable, I get paid pittance. And now that means that I'm at risk now of losing my home, because these people go into care homes and they sadly die, and we don't get anybody else because we're self-employed. We have to wait. So I thought in readiness I'd start a business to help people with their health, a business to inspire people to take control of their health, a business that sells only natural ingredients so people can get fit, prevent health problems and treat health problems without being poisoned by pharmaceutical medicine. And I joined LinkedIn, and I have connected with lots of people, but I'm also now finding that the world of business is just vacuous and empty, and it's full of air kissers, and you just get ghosted all the time by people. They're not really interested in you. They are for a while, and the novelty soon wears off, and they'll tell you how brilliant you are and your business is such an amazing business, and they love your story. Oh, you're so brave, Brian, continuing to live with your cancer. But But actually, when it comes to it, they're not. And that goes to the cancer, because unfortunately the bad news is it's back to oncology and it's growing, and we're going to look at potentially having to have another raft of treatment if I can be bothered to have treatment. Because quite frankly, the way the world is at the moment, I'm more than happy to just let the cancer do what it wants. Because I had the attitude 10 years ago of going, no, I'm going to fight this. But the attitude I've got at the moment is, what is the point? Honestly, what is the point? I have skint myself to try to make a business that will help the nation. And obviously make me and my fiance's life and my dog's life and our small family's life much better. But it's just all pointless because my face doesn't fit. It never has done in business. I am too direct, I'm too northern, I'm too loud, I'm too inquisitive, and people just don't like that. And I'm also too savvy. I don't let people rip me off anymore. And I just get to 10 years where I should be celebrating and going and having a lovely afternoon swimming and having fish and chips and chocolate cake I've just made. And quite frankly, I couldn't give a shit. Honestly, what was the point in going through all of that surgery and all of that recovery and all of that pain and disruption and losing people around me, and for what? Really? To become homeless shortly because I haven't got no income, I can't make no income, despite all the people going, yo, we'd love to invest in your business. And can't get hold of them anymore. Yeah. All those people that say, oh, we'd love to give you a donation, but yet still my crowdfunding page is empty. Yeah. It's just, people are just interested in themselves. And I struggle, if I'm honest with you. I really do. So although I wish I was on here going, yay, 10 years, business is going well, life's going well, it's not going well, it's going crap. Yeah. And that's the bare bones of it. I'm going to give my crowdfunding page to the end of its term, which is the end of November. And if at the end of November there is no money to help me run the business, to stop me having to sell my home and move into a camper van with my dog and fiance, and quite honest, living in a camper van, off-grid, away from society, not having to deal with all the bullshit that goes into society these days. It's not a bad thing, if I'm honest with you. But I'm going to wait because I'm determined to see whether or not I can be proven wrong. I'm 80% convinced nobody is going to prove me wrong. But we'll go for it. And then when it comes to November, everything goes. Social media goes. Everything gets closed. Business gets closed. Society can go to hell in a fucking handcart as far as I give a monkey's hoot. And you can suffer when it all goes wrong as far as I care. But we'll see. So, 10 years celebration? No. 10 years questioning whether or not I made the right decision in 2015 in having any treatment. There you go. There's the honest truth of it.